Alright, YouTube, it's your boy Zxous, and today we are doing the full Overload Gear Showcase for Miss Raven here. Now, I do think Raven is a cool character and all, but I do 100% believe, as of right now, that she is going to fall short and just stay in the Nikkepedia for most characters, and it's just because she is quite niche, right? When I say she's quite niche, I mean in her circumstances and her little conditions and stuff like that, right? Obviously, this character is a character who is meant for bosses, right? She gets stronger when fighting bosses and stuff like that. Solo bosses, not bosses. I mean, bosses with mobs, I guess, because she has AoE, but mainly solo bosses. Her whole thing is that you want to use her when, you know, she's fighting an enemy with parts, and that's cool and all, but when it comes to her typing, I think Mother Will sometimes in Solar Raid and Union Raid is a Electric Code enemy. Um, I'm not 100% sure on that, but other than that, like on a day-to-day basis, the only Electric Code enemy that this character is going to be fighting is Ultra, and obviously Ultra doesn't have parts like that, so it's unfortunate for Raven because the boss that she's type advantage against does not really have parts for her to work out. And then by not having parts, essentially you lose this 47% sustained damage buff, which is very good for her first skill and even her burst skill, realistically. Well, not her burst skill, but just her first skill. But we do a full overload gear for Miss Raven here. We have the ammo capacity, elemental damage on that roll, elemental damage attack percent there, attack percent charged in max damage capacity there, and crit damage, elemental damage and defense there. So these rolls are not too bad. They're actually pretty good. And obviously this is LB doing stuff like that. So let's first off head off to Union Raid. Because I do want to try her against mobs, right? I want to try her against mobs. We can go in with this exact same team. I guess we can change it up a bit. We don't need to have this exact same team, right? I'm going to do you and you as the burst 1 and 2, and then I'm going to have Rich as my burst 1 character, right? She's very good against mobs in the sense that she has an AoE, but a lot of the buffs that she gives herself are sustained damage, so it's a bit weird because her burst skill is not really, I don't even know how to explain it. Her burst skill is not really like I don't even think it's gonna nuke a lot of the mobs in general, just because it's like it is technically it's 400%, right, AoE, but right, let's take a look. Like obviously that one boss in the back is never gonna lose damage or anything like that. But I think the sustained damage, like once she fully stacks up on that, like the, you know, stacks 10 times, then she's going to be very good. But let's take a look at her damage right now, right? So she hasn't even used her burst skill or anything, right? She's at 96 million, while Rappy's at 900 million. This is their AoE, boom. Didn't even kill that one enemy at the back there, which is okay. But she jumped from 95 million to 350 million, which is like, obviously I don't want anybody thinking Raven or Eve is meant to hit harder than Rappy. That's just not gonna happen. But again, like this is what I mean when I say Raven is probably gonna put up good numbers, but compared to a lot of other iron DPSs, including Eve, Raven is not gonna be up to par when it comes to these, like, you know, it's just because she has to fight a boss with parts, right? And then it's like, sure, you can use her in something like Kraken, where they have a lot of parts, right? Kraken has a lot of parts, but it's like you're not replacing Scarlet Black Shadow or Asuka for this character, right? So I don't really see a place for Raven. So Eve is probably going to be the best character out of this collab. I'm still gonna do some testing and try her with different game comps before I come to that conclusion. But it's very hard for me to say in a general setting Raven is going to be better than Eve when Eve can be used anytime, anywhere, right? Is she going to be the best everywhere? Not necessarily. Like, she's not good in PvP. Against mobs, she could be on the team and actually do decent damage, but she definitely needs like another good DPS with her. I would say, but then I feel like that's unfair to say, right? Raven, it's just, I don't see a point in using Raven if you're not fighting a boss with parts, right? And then if the boss is not her typing, I don't see a point in using her, right? Like I told you guys, we're in a day and age in Nikke where fighting the enemy that is type disadvantage to whatever character you're using is kind of like just the staple now. So if Raven is not type advantage against the enemy, she's probably not going to get used. So that just kind of puts her down in rankings, in my personal opinion. Right? I know a lot of people are saying she's bugged, which I also did kind of point out in my first video. Something seems to be not adding up because it just doesn't seem right, right? The fact that she got so close to a few of the other characters I was running her with, and obviously, like, there was no parts or anything like that, right? I'm not sure exactly what the bug is, but apparently people are saying she is bugged or something like that. I think one of her skills are bugged or something like that. So she could be hitting harder, she could be hitting less. I don't know. I doubt she's going to be hitting less, but could be hitting harder or something like that, which is great. But like I said, I just don't see a point in using a character whose full kit is not activated, right? And I guess you could say the same thing for Eve, but any electrical boss that comes out into the game, whether they have parts or not, I can use Eve against that. Raven, if the enemy doesn't have parts, then I can't really use her. You get what I'm saying? So I do feel like it's a bit unfortunate. Like, this was against mobs, right? But obviously just went to one enemy because all the mobs are gone and stuff. But like, I don't even know. Let's take a look at the damage comparison from Rappy to Eve, or to Raven. My bad, Rappy and Raven. Let's take a look. I mean, that's a new score, which is quite crazy. But I mean, not really. I don't think he does mods. I'm on Rebuke's account. Shout out to Rebuke. I forgot to say that. So 2.4 billion she ended up getting, and Rappy got 6.2 billion. But it's just crazy that the fact that Raven is hitting 2 billion and there's no enemies with parts and stuff like that is quite good. Just because she could hit a lot harder than that. I don't think people realize, if you're watching this so far, I don't think you guys realize anytime she uses her burst skill, she gets this, 89% sustained damage, sure. But like, when you're not using her burst skill, the whole point is that she has the 47%, right? So when you fight an enemy with parts, the whole point is that she's supposed to have this 47%. You destroy the part, she gets that 47%, and she has that for her sustained damage. And then when you use her burst skill, it goes to 89% and removes the 47%, right? So, hey, I don't think she's necessarily bad. I just don't think she's gonna be used at all. Like, that's what I think. I think if I had to generally sit down right now and rank Iron Code enemies, I would probably say Red Hood is 1, Eve is 2. I'm not gonna count Rappy. I'm not gonna count Rappy because she's not Iron Code. But I would say Red Hood is 1, Eve is 2, probably Raven is 3, then Laplace is 4, DPS wise, right? So that's already 2 characters from this collab that are in the top 3. But it's like, obviously Rappy and Red Hood is all you need, and you don't switch. Like, at least when it comes to the win code, like, DPS, I can switch between Asuka and like Asuka and Ray, or even Asuka and Mana for Scarlet, right? Like, I could do those. But with Raven, it's a bit niche, I would say. Again, Ultra doesn't have parts like that, so I don't really know what to tell you guys, right? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not even going to try to look for a boss that has parts and stuff like that. This is the reality of Nikke. I'm not going to go and find some content, random content, like the EX stage or a single tower mode where the boss has multiple parts and happens to be type advantage. In a general sense, on a day-to-day basis, this is the reality of Raven. She is just not going to be fighting an enemy which is type advantage that has parts. That's the reality. But I do think she can hit hard. It's just, you're not going to use her after this collab. I'm telling you. So, it's your boy Zxous. Just let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.